All the great ones have a handle, a tag, a name that says it all. How you play is your AKA. What's up with that, man? Should read DLNY. Forget what your mama calls you. In the NBA, your nickname is your stamp, your style, your flavor. The Chief, Robert Parrish, is named after the Indian dude in Cuckoo's Nest. Wild. The round mound of rebound has been on a diet and gone to finishing school to become Sir Charles Barkley. So polite, don't you think? Something out of nothing, it's Magic. Magic Johnson, the magician of the LA Lakers. His mama called him Irvin. Yikes. Your AKA can be the way that you play. You dunk on fools like Daryl Griffith did, and you get a PhD. Dr. Duncanstein, baby.
They don't call him Dr. Duncanstein for nothing.
Down in Atlanta, Dominique Wilkins was made for prime time. He was tagged as the human highlight film for his Cirque du Soleil plays that made its way onto every news sportscast. From highlight to high fright, it's got to be Chocolate Thunder.
Chocolate Thunder, a Rim Record, a Heart Stopper. I was all of that, and a bag of chips, and they just weren't ready for it.
His poetic dunking was always in motion. Hey, a catchy moniker can also up the ante in the marketing game.
Julius the Doctor
It wasn't Julius Erving, it was Dr. J, which meant when he got on the floor, on the court, he operated on guys.
Dr. J was the only physician with his own brand of shoes.
Michael on the drive, in for the right, Billy
MJ's hang time moves became the marketing man's dream. Air Jordan was born, and it flew higher than one of Richard Branson's balloons. Penny Hardaway has turned an honest mistake into millions. His mother named him Anthony, but his grandmother called him Pretty. So how in the world do you get Penny? His granny's southern accent cooked it up, and it stuck.
He split the D like the Red Sea.
Now Penny Hardaway has the most popular commercials on TV, with Little Penny raking in the dough. When you're talking about Will Chamberlain, you can ask 20,000 women, and they might tell you why he's called the Big Dipper. Now that's a serious AKA. Slick Rick Pitino has the young Celtics overachieving. On the road against the Jazz, Boston's full-court pressure defense was stifling. Their good D turned into a fast break for Ron Mercer. The Celtics had a 13-point lead at the half.
Walter. Alley-oop! Great play to Antoine. They caught Chris Morris looking.
Utah needed a jump start. Coach Jerry Sloan's ejection fueled Karl Malone. He found Stockton for the layup. Then they reversed roles, and Malone got the points this time. The Jazz found the rhythm in the third quarter.
Long pass, knocked away, but saved by Keith, and here comes Oster.
Malone delivered 16 of his 31 points in the third, the Jazz up by 1.
Malone.
In the fourth, Utah started to pull away.
Isley will get it to Keith.
Then Byron Russell took over. He poured in 13 big points in the final period.
Mercer's shot short, picked off the floor. Here's Russell. Good play by Isley.
Come on, Rick. Don't look so down. You're not the only cat to lose in Utah.
Soup has a distinctly New York flavour, as last weekend Madison Square Garden, home of the Knicks, was packed to the rafters as the beautiful people came to town for the NBA All-Star Game.
There was Spike Lee with that cymbal guy. Tyra Banks lit up the place, as did Drew Barrymore. The greatest, Muhammad, but not bad at all, Evander. Jack kept an eye on things. Madonna took a night off from babysitting. And hip-hop mogul Puff Daddy rubbed shoulders with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Also in the house was Magic Johnson, who's added to his expanding profile by becoming a chat show host out here. It's reported in the Las Vegas Sun that he wants to become Mike Tyson's promoter. I would love to have Mike Tyson because Mike needs somebody like me. First of all, Mike needs somebody to respect. Well, he's going for respect, is Mike. He's going to become a referee in WrestleMania 14, which leads us very nicely to our Dennis, WWF fan of the NBA, and of course movie star starring alongside Van Damme in Double Team last year and making Jean-Claude look almost Oscar-winning material, which is no doubt why he's not quite himself in the TV movie from the book Bad As I Want to Be, which premiered here on ABC last Sunday.
379, take 4, Mark.
This fall on ABC.
In case you're wondering, yes, this is Dennis.
I mean, when I'm out on that court, I just feel like I'm just so
Sexy, beautiful.
Yeah.
We now see him with the flamboyancy of who he is on the court and the different things he do off the court. The story that's being told here is going to show us just how he's like you and I.
To be honest with you, I look more like him than you do, mate. By the way, Dennis's new shoe was launched last week in the UK. It's called the All-Star, which is the only way you're ever going to see him appear in that. And this is how they're selling it in the US.
Passion is not a crime.
Let's hope Spike Lee has more luck with the NBA star he's chosen to star alongside Denzel Washington and John Turturro in his very personal homage to B-Ball, He Got Game.
Spike takes on his usual directorial role and allows real-life Milwaukee buck Ray Allen a chance to shine.
Our mission was to find somebody in the NBA who would also have some innate natural acting ability that they might not even know about.
What a play, Ray Allen!
Spike, you know, his seat is right when we warm up at halftime, and we came back in, and you know, he came up to me and he asked me would I audition for a movie of his, and I didn't know it would be all this and this major role playing Jesus. I just thought, you know, hey, cameo.
I don't think that He Got Game will be Ray Allen's last, run before the camera. He is a promising career.
So from the Knicks' biggest fan to one of their biggest players, we caught up with Allen Houston and took the opportunity to find out what tunes he's pumping on the personal in the Gardens locker room.
Allen Houston over Rick Smith. Beautiful move from Allen Houston.
Right now, my favorite is Timberland. I love Timberland. I love hip-hop. Being in New York, you really can't help but to like, hip-hop.
My sex drive worked out like a gym kid. Was a girl that I used to hit. She's a girl that I gotta quit. See the kitty face, gotta go lit like a light. In the night, you're the freak, come out with don't bite.
But I like all the artists. I like KRS-One, Redman. I like them all.
Strictly don't be caring like I'm Donna. The Jersey bomber, go 10 rounds with Anaconda. I blow the 9X to order me some pizza. The Bernie Maca, get the party bumping like... Yo, I'm upping up your audio. Hardcore reservoir material video.
Fresh off their big road win in San Antonio, Seattle had to face Shaq and the traditional rivals from L.A. Seattle owned the boards in the first half, making L.A. fans glad that they arrived late. Seattle found a sweet groove when Dale Ellis took the biscuit from the baker. Then Vin Baker stole the show, and the Lakers looked like a bunch of sloppy Joes. Seattle's fast break was clicking, and they ran out to a lead in the second quarter. The Lakers woke up in time to close the gap before the half, as Shaq cleaned up all that loose garbage. The Sonics' perimeter game went to work in the third quarter.
Touch pass over to Payton. He fires another three, and he got it.
Vin Baker closed the third quarter with a Sonic bang.
Baker from the backcourt. He threw it in for three.
Gary Payton was on his way to a 30-point night.
Here's a three-pointer by Payton. There it is. Good. He made his fifth of the game.
The Lakers were keeping it close down the stretch, even though the refs missed this call.
They don't call a foul. Wow! I don't believe that. Payton all but tackled him. Down the middle would get the ball to Shaq. Slam dunk.
L.A. was down 2 when Shaq got the basket and was fouled. Of course, he missed the free throw. With the score tied, Vin Baker had a chance to be a hero again.
Baker, a 20-foot fall away, no good. We're in overtime.
L.A. finally had the lead in overtime. That's when Seattle took it back with a 3-ball.
In low to Shrimp. They knock it loose. It rolls to Perkins. He fires for three and got it.
But George Karl was worried because L.A. went to their bread-and-butter man. But the game was starting to slip away to the Lakers.
Fox at the dribble down the middle. Fox underneath the Shaq. Shaq scores. He blew it. He was alone underneath.
Seattle's fabulous Baker boy went for the kill.
Here's the ball to Shrimp all the way down the middle. Then he takes to Baker. His 20-footer is good. And the Sonics are in big shape now. The Lakers have no timeout, so here we go. Kobe, 12 seconds left. Kobe to win it. It's no good. Rebound is off.
Tough one for L.A. Seattle pulls out another big road win. Out west, Seattle's confidence has to be sky high after those 2 big road wins. LA is right there. There's some big news coming out of Utah. Karl Malone has been unhappy all season long, but he really blew up this week. He aimed his venom at Jazz owner Larry Miller for paying lesser players more money than him. He's hurt.
No, they are. They did, royally. Brian Russell contract, Greg contract, that's fine, okay? What do you want to tell me? That I'm getting too old? And then I go out here and I lead the team in scoring and rebounding again, but I'm getting too old. You know, it didn't sit well with me, and it's been a burr all year for me.
The mailman is backing up his bold words with some big numbers. And Malone is not being shy about telling people that he wants what he deserves, or else he might move on next year.
I don't want to hear anybody telling me you being selfish or you being a horse's ass. I don't want to hear that, because I gave you what I gave you now for 13 years. And I don't want to hear any of this when I do what I need to do. And it's sooner than people think.
Hey, the message is clear from Malone. Show me the money or I'm out of here. I don't think the mailman would want to play for the last place Clippers, but last week the other LA team put on an offensive show that opened a few eyes. The Clips scored 152 points against the Raptors, the most scored in the NBA this season. LA won the game by 32 to move closer to first place. They're only 35 games back. In Houston, the news is that Clyde Drexler will retire at the end of the season. And Clyde is going back to college, this time to coach. Classes begin for him after the playoffs. Orlando's Penny Hardaway won't return for the rest of the season due to injury. So that left Nick Anderson to deal with the Heat on Sunday in a Florida derby. The Magic are fighting for a playoff spot, so Slick Nick knew what to do. Score.
Nick Anderson from Horace Grant.
The Heat took advantage of Orlando's soft middle with center Alonzo Mourning going for 18 points to keep Miami close.
So with the hook over him.
In the third quarter, it was the Zoe show flowing all over the basket. The Heat still trailed by 4 points. By clamping down on defense in the fourth quarter, Miami pulled even. With the score tied at 76, Orlando had a chance to win it.
Mark Price has it knocked away, and Alonzo Mourning grabs it and asks for time.
The Magic couldn't hit the shot, but Miami had time to create even more drama.
Leonard beats the buzzer and wins the game.
No, that's
Wait a minute. Do they wave it off? They wave it off. And let's see if they change it back. They change it back. They change it back. And they say that Leonard did beat the buzzer. The basket is good, and Miami wins it.
It was a good call.
The Heat win. No, they don't. Oh, yes, they do. By 3. Karl Malone was out to prove his point in Minnesota on Monday.
Malone to challenge, contact, no call. Jumper is made by the future Hall of Famer Karl Malone.
The Jazz were protecting a 10-game winning streak and got off to a quick start. But when you talk about quickness, Garnett's your man.
Rebound number 12 for Kevin. Look at him handle the basketball. Right back to Garnett.
Oh, baby, the big ticket has come alive.
Kevin Garnett had 19 points and 16 rebounds to put the Wolves up.
Kevin with the left hand, and the roll is time for Minnesota.
Wolves coach Flip Saunders got tossed from the game. The Jazz took control.
A little different way to get it to Malone this time. But again, running Stockton off a screen.
The Jazz finish off the young Wolves with some solid team basketball. They extend their streak to 11. Now that's sweet. Portland's Damon Stoudemire was out with a bad ankle against Cleveland. But big man Arvydas Sabonis was there to give the Trailblazers a booster shot. Cleveland has their eyes on a playoff spot, and Shawn Kemp was looking like a man with focus. The Cavs got a big lift off their bench. Vitaly Potapenko scored a season-high 18 points. Portland trailed in the third quarter. I wouldn't call this a comeback.
And Ryder will take it on top. Oh, that was a dry heave.
Cleveland pulled away in the fourth quarter behind the Knight Rider.
Brevin Knight.
Point guard Brevin Knight ran the offense to perfection. Portland didn't have an answer.
Back to Brevin Knight. There he is again. He's been the killer tonight.
Portland snoozes in this game. The Cavs, oh man, win by a lot. The playoffs are less than a month away. In the Western Conference, Seattle, Utah, LA, San Antonio, and Phoenix have all clinched playoff berths. Remember, 8 teams get in from each conference, and that's some good news for the Wolves. If the playoffs started today, the first round matchups would look like this. The Sonics would face the Wolves, the Jazz would get the Rockets, the Lakers and Blazers would hook up, and the Spurs would rumble with the Suns. Over in the East, nobody has clinched a playoff slot yet. But the way the Bulls are playing, it's just a matter of time. The real battle to get into the playoffs is down at the bottom. The Knicks have a slim hold on the 6th spot. Cleveland is right behind them. If the playoffs started today in the East, the Bulls would play the Nets in a best-of-5 game series. The Heat would clash with the Cavs, the Pacers and Knicks would lock heads, and the Hornets would get the Hawks.
Listen, I know you might not be able to give it up like Grant or keep it real like Kobe, but you could be living it large in Philadelphia for 1999's All-Star Game if you're the ultimate winner of our NBA competition. Each week a name will go into the grand draw and pick up